Hello everyone, what's up Angular people? In this tutorial, we're going to look into how to implement FxLayout and Angular material together and come up with something as simple as this toolbar, right? The one you see right now. So this toolbar is basically is responsive, and when you switch between your breakpoints, like for the mobile and for the tablets or for the laptop, that will be stretched out and showing you the extra options, wherein when you are in the mobile viewport, your options are limited and you'll be the extra options will be hidden, and you can use the search icon to bring them up and do the further searches. So let's get started. To begin with, first we need to look into the NG version, which is at 8.3.17, and everything is up to date. So ideally we are using 8th version of our Angular, so please make sure that you're using the right versions, because the FxLayout has some sort of discrepancy in the earlier versions. And let's get started. So ng new, I'm gonna just call it as generic web startup. So the idea is to create a web app which is more generic as possible, so that you can just plug and play the components later on as I progress. And and we need SCSS. Once our Angular app is created, now we need to traverse them into the Angular folder, and in here let's add up our Angular material. So ng add Angular material. So it will be installing our Angular material packages. So I'm going to go with Indigo Pink for now, so later on we can customize it in the later courses. Of course, yes. And obviously we need some animations as well. So we're going to just go out whatever options we have. Angular material is completed. We can go with our FlexLayout. So FNS, and it should be Angular FlexLayout. So that should install FlexLayout in your application. All right, that's been added, and now let's open up our code base. So this is it. So pretty much nothing to do here for now. Let's do a ngserve, so that'll kickstart our web app. I'm gonna just switch back and forth between the code base and the browser, so it'll be a little bit dizzier. Please pardon me for that. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make it big, bring out the console. So this is just the bare bones that Angular provides you whenever you install or create a new Angular app. Let's get rid of all those generic ones. So we got our plain canvas to start up with. Now let me talk a little bit about FxLayout. So FxLayout, once you install it, you should be adding that in your module. So after the browser animation module, it should be FlexLayout module, and I'm gonna add that. Looks like it's not showing up in my suggestions, so let me import that manually. So FlexLayout from, it's in the Angular core. So sorry, it's not the core, it's in the Angular namespace. So we got our FlexLayout module installed in the Angular namespace, and we may also need a couple more things like forms module and reactive forms module. So we may not be using it in this course, but probably later on we'll be definitely using this. So forms and reactive forms will be coming under Angular namespace, so it should be forms module, reactive forms module from at Angular. Where is it? It's there. Okay, so another thing is, well, yeah, we need to add material module. So material is like there's a huge modules, but first let's see if there is anything breaking up in our application. Looks like everything is fine. Now for the material part, what I'm going to do is I'll just create a new folder called core, and inside that core I'll be having a file, a TS file. I'll just call that as material module.ts. So that'll hold all the material modules inside this file, and we can just reference it back and forth. So I do already have a scaffold of what I'm going to do. So I'll just copy and paste it. I'll share this code later on so that you can make use of this. So it'll be easier and make it less clumsy when you just move part of the material module in a separate file. So all you will be doing is just call up this module inside your app module. So that'll be material module, which is obviously will be referenced to our core from the core. Okay, so it's compiling, and I bet so far so good. Yeah, I forgot, like, we need to discuss about the flex layout a little bit, right? So FxLayout, which has been taken from the Flex API, you can see the reference the documentation over here. It's pretty much the same concept. I mean, exactly the same as you have seen in the CSS Flex box. So if you want to discuss about the Flex in depth, I have made a tutorial in HTML. You can reference that and get a little bit of grasp on what exactly is all about the Flex, like the Flex Grow, Flex Shrink, and Flex Basis. So basically, the Flex means you will be having your container and your items inside the container as items, Flex items. So your container, you can specify what sort of items that you need to put. You need to put it as a row wise, or you need to put them as a column wise. Enough of this diagram. While I progress through this course, it'll make more sense. So we do have a API for responsive flex boxes. So you can have breakpoints like the one that's shown here for the media queries. You'll be having a plenty of the options here, like you even have ranges like less than SM devices, or less than medium, or greater than XS, or greater than SM, like that. You can just you have some options where you can just mix and match, and then make your screen make your components in your screen hide or show based on that. Okay, so all I suggest is just have a good read through, and the best bit is go to the MDN Flex, and you will be definitely it is loaded with plenty of information about the Flex. Without this information, proceeding further will be actually not going to help any further. I do have a video on creating a Flex responsive navigation in HTML, which I will be linking up in this video. Okay, so enough of talking. I'll just go straight to the code and let's get cracking. Before proceeding further, I do need to add some references here. So I'm just gonna get rid of this title. Let's have implements on init, and we do need after view init as well. We do also need constructor. So the problem is it's showing up some error. Obviously we need both the lifecycle hook, which is ng on init, and after view init. Okay, so I turned on the ts lint, where you can find it over here. ts lint, just use it in your project. It'll be really helpful, because it'll show up the kind of errors that your code has before you push your code to production, or making your code available for public viewing. So it'll show up all the problems that you have in your code. Basically, linting will make your code in the constructor. I'm gonna just have a couple of things like cd ref. I'm not sure I'm gonna use this change detector, but I mean, since we are going to play around with the views, we'll be having change director for now. So it's just a change director ref media observer. This is purely for debugging purpose. You don't need to add this in your component or in your project. I'm just using this to just show you what sort of a viewport we are currently now. And we need to do a subscription. So I'm just going to have private media sub, which is a media subscription, and it will have a subscription. So that's been added. So in our ng on init, I will have this dot media observer, media sub, and this dot media observer dot media subscribe. Now here we have a warning, which we can clear that up later in the later part of the videos, but for now just stick with it. And whatever that's changed is of type media change, fat arrow with a curly braces open, and all we're going to do is just watch what kind of a viewport we have changed to, what kind of a media query that we have changed to. Okay, let's also see what else, what other options are available. So if I do change dot, is it giving anything? I'll just give it as change. Let's see what else is showing up. So we forgot to do a semicolon. Now we need to include this. So I think the errors are gone. So compile the code and check it out here. We are in the XS, which is extra small. I believe that's the XS, and this is the small device, and this will be medium device. So yeah, we have some output. Based on this, we can troubleshoot our viewport. Okay, and let's see what else is here. MQ alias is XS and suffix as XS, and we do have the actual media query mentioned here. So what I'll do is I will just post the actual media query as well. It'll be easy for us to have an eyeball on what's happening. One more best practice I forgot. We should be ng on destroy. So we should unsubscribe every time we move out of the component. Okay, so pretty much it. Now let's move on to do some actual coding, or actually building the toolbar. Okay, so let's start up with a div, and our div will be basically a FxLayout of column. Column means you will be stacking your child divs or child components stacked up vertically. Row means you'll be stacking them side by side horizontally. So column means vertical. Column means you'll be stacking your children vertically, right? So you should keep that in mind. When you're building it. So this will be our parent. Our parent container is column, and your child container will be a row. So FxLayout of row, and I think that's enough for now. So we can add further more options when we go along. So this one pretty much saying that we are going to set this div as a row and this one as a column, which means if you have any other divs coming up, it will just stack up vertically on top of vertically just below this component. Okay. Right, so now for this first row, which will be having a branding as well as a couple of options like search boxes. Now for that we need to create a branding, right? Now for the branding, now I'll be just using a div with FxFlex. As I mentioned, like FxLayout, we have a couple of options like FxFlex and FxLayout Gap, FxHide, things like that. There are many things with the FX layouts. So you can very well go here and look out for the options we have. Not exactly here, probably in the home if you check out. Yeah, right over here you have a couple of options that you can provide for your layouts. Okay, so for the branding, I guess FxFlex of 10 will be sufficient. This is like providing a shorthand integer to your FxFlex. This is basically a flex grow, shrink, and basis. But for now, we'll just stick with the 10% of our logo. So this will also have something called a class and branding with, let's have just the h3 and b. Ideally this will be a logo or something, but we're not going to use logo for now. And the next bit is, again, this will be FxFlex of 70. So which means you got 70% and 10%, which will make up to 80%. And now the most trickiest bit, we need to add the form fields from the Angular material. So I just referenced the Angular material and got the components from there. So from the components, I just went out for the autocomplete, and we'll be having an option to where else? Yeah, in the examples like this. So it's going to be a simple one. So what I did is just copied it from there. So it should be mat form field, and it'll take up an input field with a text and a placeholder of select location. Alright, so what I did is I just added a location options for this material component. Now I'll just turn this off. And same way I'm going to add one more field. Okay, so let's not worry about the alignments for now. It'll be sorted out. And next thing is, we should have the icons that tells us the search icon and a notification, as well as the avatar. But we're not going to implement the business logic or service logic for that for now. So let's fix this icons. The icons will be kind of again FxLayout. It'll be of row. Okay, so and FxLayout align and center. So what is this end and center? So what is this layout align? So if I switch back to the demo that we have here, the FxLayout provides you with a documentation and a demo where you can just switch the alignment. So if it is in a row format, we are right now in the row format, we can do end and center will give you a container like this. And same way you can do space between, space around, space evenly end. So this is for the vertical direction and this is for the horizontal direction. So basically these options you can pass them in the FxLayout. So for me it is end and center, which is basically end and center. So it's positioned centrally on a vertical direction. So that's been set. Now next thing is we need to add the we forgot the FxFlex of a 15%. So 70 plus 80 and a 15, which makes up 95% of the whole of this container. So and on top of this we need to add some layout gaps. We'll come back to that later. Now what we'll do is I'm just going to add a button. Remove the click for now. I'm not running down with the material design, adding up the buttons and explaining things, because it's already there. I just lifted it from the actual material documentation. So everything that you see here is been taken from the material documentation. So this is the notifications icon, and for the icon, when you when you click on the notifications, it should show up some sort of a menu, right? So for that I just lifted the card example from the material icon. And lastly we should have a avatar. Now this should be coming up. The avatar is not coming. That is because we need to define them in our style. So in our styles, everything is in mint. For the avatar, which is a mat card avatar, so for the we are going to override the avatar, because in material you need to use the avatar inside the card component, but for now we're just going to override everything just for the avatar. So it's the header size. I'm just declaring a variable, and our mat card avatar, we need to define something here, which is basically the height mat card header and width mat card header size. So height and width are same, and the border radius 50%, and flex shrink of 0. Basically this is what is there in the material styles description. So I just lifted it from there. And the next thing is object fit cover, and for the background let me keep it as black for now. So in real world it should be a picture coming up in the, your avatar should be coming up here. Okay, so in that case using Angular we can just bind only the background image and put them here, right? So something like this. So I'll leave that off for now, and you should have an avatar here, and we need a padding left of some 2%. Not enough, probably 10%. No, oh actually I'm doing it the wrong way. It's already there. It's okay, it's a bootstrap component. Now do I need to add a bootstrap in this? Why not? Let's add bootstrap to our project. So we just added a bootstrap, and we will be referencing in our style sheet. Now after the bootstrap is set up, everything looks clean. Now we got the PL2, which is padding left 2, implemented and works fine. All right, so this is pretty much the header section that we got, and it is not really responsive, but kind of responsive, but not really it. Okay, so we need to when you're building your responsive web app, it should be like mobile first and the desktop later. So a couple of things I need to sort out here, which is the width of this width of this input component, which is I already have a class in place, class of material input full width. So I'm gonna just write down width 100%. So that will bring up the width as 100%. Kind of responsive now, but not really. And I'm missing out something else too. In our class branding, we forgot to add one more class, which is PL2. And on the overall column layout, right, we need to add just for the aesthetic purpose, we need to add a class main toolbar wrapper, and obviously the padding of 3. So let's see how beautiful that looks. Yeah, it looks just kind of pretty. Okay, we need to sort out a couple of things, which is the for this items, right, for these components we need to come up with the layout align, which is FxLayout align equals space around and center, the one that we have seen here, right, space around and center. So I need those two input fields to look like this, hence I'm giving it like that. Okay, and I need to have another option called FxLayout Gap of 2%. When you're defining a layout gap, you should define the metrics as well. So in this case 2%. So let's see how that adds up, right? So that's pretty much done. Now we have one for the desktop version or the tablet version, and we need to work for the mobile version. So the mobile version looks a bit clumsy, but in reality you should start with the mobile version and build it all the way up to tablet version. The reason why I did this is because when I started up with the generic generic version of a web app or a web or Angular Flexbox app, I had something in mind that for the mobile version I will do things in Flutter and build it up there. But when I progressed, I thought, why not a mobile version for an Angular app? So that's what Flexbox been built, and they do have APIs, responsive APIs for all your layouts. So why not, when you're building it, why not build it for the mobile as well? So that thought struck me, and I started to implement them in the mobile version in this code itself. So that's why I started out with the desktop version and converted them into a mobile version. But when you're going to draw up the items in the row wise or column wise, that will be strictly planned according to the mobile first and then the desktop later version. Okay, so I think this sounds pretty much clear for now. When I'm going into the mobile version, I need to hide these two input bars. Okay, so for that we have an option called fx hide and xs. So xs is the extra small devices. So when I do that, it's gone, but it's a little bit ugly. So we need to fix a couple of things. We need to push this over there when you're in mobile version, and when you're in desktop version, it should come back to normal. All right, so in the main wrapper, we forgot to add one more option called FxLayout Gap, which is a of 2%, and FxLayout Align, which is of a space between the children, and it should be of centrally aligned. The branding is gone. Oh god, I made a pure mistake here. So that is not for the column, and that should be for the row, and obviously the... All right, so we got it. So what I did is I just gave the option for the column layout, which is wrong. It should be for the row layout, which holds all the branding and the input materials, the input forms and the search icons. So this is it. So this is how pretty much my mobile version of an Angular app will look like. And then when you move on to the tablet or a desktop version or laptop version, it should look like this. So right now it's working as expected, but we missed one more option, which is a search functionality. We are not going to implement the business logic, but at least the logic that will work on the mobile version. So when you give on a search icon, it should pop up, or it should drop down or make the fields visible and allow you to do a search. So we're going to implement that for now. To do that, we will have something called a template variable for this, which is a search fields. So search fields is a wrapper wherein we have included the form fields for the autocomplete and input materials. So this will be hide or show based on the fx hide, and the search fields will hold the element ref. So you can do a reference for the search field like inside your Angular template, something like this, something like search fields dot style will provide you the style property will provide you the list of styles of this particular div. So from there we can pick out display as none, right? So using this we can hide or show the material form field. So for now, we need to remove this from the element. To do that, it should be ng if, and we have a search fields reference style of display and none. So that's done, and same for our other input field. So this will be removed from our expression has been changed. Okay, we'll look into this after fixing up, after going through this. Okay, so when you look at it, when you inspect your elements, you will get an idea of all your bindings and form field. So it's removed. The idea is when you are in a mobile version, the entire content should be removed. Okay, in this case, okay, the idea is like when you're in a desktop version, your display will be in flex, okay, and it won't be none. So you have your form field showing up in the element. Okay, when you move on to the mobile version, all your bindings will be removed. So that's how we need to have it. Should be either there or it should be removed from the element tree. So when you again switch back to your tablet version or a desktop version, your mat form field should come up. Okay, so that is why we have a condition like this. So your search fields will hold information about the display. If the display is flex, in this case, if it is not none, then it is in the tablet mode. Otherwise, it's in the mobile mode. Okay, so what happens? So now we need to do a fallback. So when you're in the mobile version, you should show the boxes here. So we need to come up with a separate set of layout, and for that I already got information, already got a piece of code where it'll be showing the same set of information. Okay, so as I mentioned, like in the column, the parent of this is a column layout. So I'll just minimize it and show you. So this is our parent container, and the child is a row. So I'll just collapse them up, and I have added one more layout of row, which will show only in the mobile version. And I'm going to remove the search pane for now, so we will be having it. Okay, so in the mobile version, you will, instead of hiding, you will be getting an extra form field, so you can do a search. Now if you look at it, it's pretty much the same set of code that you have seen on the top of this container. Okay, so that's kind of a same thing, but only thing is I'm just removing it if you're in the mobile version. Okay, so we have some sort of functions to call up an HTML template version. Now we can go ahead and fix that, fix on the component side. So what is left now? Material input. Yes, we forgot to define a full width. So let's define a full width and see how that holds up. Yes, that's pretty much it. We got the options and we got the search names, and do a search. Search will result in a error, but for me the functionality should be, this should be hidden first. So only when you click on it, it should toggle this option. For that, let's bring out a switch cases kind of options. So for the switch case, I will come up with something called public show search pane and of a boolean type, public. Oh God. And in my on init, I will set it as a false, because we are not sure whether it's of a okay, if it is mobile or desktop, the default should be at false. And we should set up a condition. Only if the show search pane is true, we should display that, provided the search fields style display as a none. So this condition will be none only when you are turning it to a mobile version. So yeah, we forgot one more option. We have done pretty much everything. Let's add a comment saying that only show on mobile version. Okay, on top of this, you have the actual search icon, right? So we need to add a click event for this icon. So this should be search items, and I need to add something like search fields dot style dot display. So I'm going to pass an argument over here. Okay, so when you click on the search icon, search items, I will be getting an argument here, so something like style display, and it should be of a string, return type of void. If style display of none, we will be doing a toggle for the search pane. Oh, I think I made a mistake over here. Okay, so when the style is none, we should give it as search. We should toggle the search pane, something like this. Okay, so this will hide or show your search box. Now expression changed after. Okay, we will come back to that. Nothing works. Let's give it a console and see. It works as expected. Okay, for the show search, I guess we made a spelling mistake, right? So that should be coming up here. Now that should be fixed by now. Okay, it works pretty much as expected. Go back, it'll show the search location items and the fields are invisible and it shows it over here. Now for the logical part, if the style display is not none, we must do an actual search. So do search and create something like do search. It should be of return type as void. We are going to just return do actual search, nothing more. Now in our method we have, in our template we have do search, so we don't have an issue. Click on it and do a search, it will say do actual search. Now when you expand, click on it, do actual search. So in any cases your search will proceed and it will start working, and for the notification this works. Now pretty much everything is completed. So this is how I expect it to work, and it is expected and it is working as expected. So now you're in the mobile version, so mobile version has only these options. So that's how most of the web apps will look like. And in the tablet or desktop version, this is how it should look, and it looks as how we designed it. So nothing fancy over here. Now let's go ahead and fix this expression changed issue. It's been there, it's been coming up quite lately on most of the Angular application, so which is what we're going to do. So which is why we have included something like after view in it. All we need to do is we included a change deduction reference, right? So just call up the deduct changes, so that will fix up this error. So it's as simple as that. So that's all folks. So we have implemented our generic web startup template. For now we didn't include the logical part, the business logic part, wherein we need to log in and authenticate an user. For that we'll be using a Firebase and get some notifications if any, and most important of all, we need to display list of items over here. So that item should be responsive. If it is in a mobile version, it should just show up as vertical stacks. If it is in a desktop version, it should be in a column format, like how you see in the Amazon or Flipkart websites. Thanks a lot for watching this. Please subscribe to my channel, and please share it with your friends if someone is looking a tutorial like this. Thank you. Bye bye.